It's never fun dealing with rejection. As I've said many times in the past, VO is a high rejection industry. So how do you deal with all this rejection? And further, how can you possibly turn it into positive? Stick around and find out.
As you know, it's been my lifelong dream to become a
voiceover artist.
Your lifelong dream was to be a contestant on The Gong Show, and you did it in 1977, remember?
Attention!
How you doing, everybody? I'm Andrew Scott, and you're back at Booth Camp. So today, I want to talk about something that you are for sure going to have to deal with in home voiceover of any kind and at any level of the game. And that's rejection. We in the home voiceover world deal with this on a daily, hell, at times hourly basis. Now, this is going to be a discouraging statistic to hear as you start out, but it's still pretty true. The average beginning indie VO worker gets one job for every 100 they try out or audition for. Even experienced six-figure folks get rejected for most of what they audition for, with a caveat, and I'll expand on that in a second. It can be pretty brutal, no lie. Now, you're likely asking yourself, or wanting to ask me, how the hell do you make a living and not slide into a clinical depression so deep you need medication and a kitten therapy session to get through in an industry when you almost never get work from auditioning? Well, let's talk about those six-figure home VO folks that I discussed earlier. Again, it's easier for them to not slide into a state where they think of stringing themselves up by a mic cord because the vast majority of their work and their money normally comes from repeat business. That is, months or years ago, they nailed an audition, got that one job, that one gig, and when that company or content creator needed more work done, they just reached back out and hired them again because they're a known quantity. One thing that differentiates rise and grind indie VO folks from the higher earners is that the former often make their money by doing volume business. Volume, volume, volume. The latter tend to make the same or more money by knowing how to build relationships. Now, we'll talk more about relationship building in an upcoming video, but for now, let's get back to you and rejection. Well, in this case, me and rejection. And by the end of this video, you'll find some techniques that I use to deal with some pretty harsh criticism. One of the nice things about doing home VO professionally is that if you want to be anonymous, you pretty much can. Unless your voice is so unique that people can pick you out of a crowd at a concert. If you want to put your voice out there, get paid for it, and stay in the shadows, you can, if you so choose. But you'll still deal with rejection. Make no mistake. In that case, though, the rejection comes to you by way of auditioning, like I said earlier. So, over the past year or so, I've been branching out and transitioning my business model to include different things I hadn't done before when I was just concentrating on VO. My book, coaching, an upcoming podcast, and this here YouTube channel. Now, all those things have my name and, moreover, my face on them. So unlike my VO business, there's no real way for me to do what I do in this world without putting a bag over my head and taking the masked singer approach, which, well, you kind of see that that wouldn't work, although the bag over my head thing might appeal to some out there. Anyway, I bring this up as an illustration. So on an online forum, someone commented on a recent video of mine that they liked that for some reason was getting a lot of thumbs down. The person who liked it mentioned that it might be due to the thumbnail that featured me with a admittedly rather frowny face. More on that in a minute. I thanked them for the comment, saying I hadn't thought of that and that I appreciated this suggestion, which I honestly did. Then, out of the blue, someone else jumped in and really let me have it. They criticized me for not being or looking friendly, always rehashing old information that other VO educators have delivered better, etc. They really took me to task. Not only that, by commenting on my appearance, my face, they made it personal. And no lie, it was hard to not take it personally. Now, to tie this back to VO, obviously, most rejections in this realm don't go the route of getting personally dragged in a public forum. You just simply never hear back on an audition, or maybe you get told that your recording quality isn't there yet, or your read or intonation was not what we're looking for. In the beginning of your VO career, you're going to get a lot of that. And while it never feels good, you often don't get too butthurt over it. But what if it's not casting directors and content creators being critical of you, but other, more important opinions? What if it's friends or relatives or a partner that doesn't believe that you can successfully pursue this VO stuff, or that it's a waste of time, or that you don't have what it takes? Well, I've been there too, more than one time. As a matter of fact, that's the exact place where I started. Nobody in my life thought this was worth doing, that I was good enough to succeed at it, etc., etc. I go into this more in detail in my book. Yet here I am, almost 8 years, dozens of audiobooks, hundreds of YouTube videos, and thousands of auditions, and dollars later, still paying my bills and doing it full time. So how did I get past that negativity directed at both this career path and me personally? Well, let me share with you 5 realizations that I had that helped me deal with it back when I started, and most recently with the person who thinks me and Booth Camp are just a big waste of bandwidth. First off, don't listen to opinions that don't actually matter. Now, I'm not trying to say that you should just ignore critique of your work or your ideas. They can be both important to hear and valuable learning tools. But listening to your mom say, "You don't sound like yourself," is not the same as listening to a group of fellow voiceover practitioners give you a thoughtful, meaningful critique. So honestly, if the opinion isn't coming from a casting director, a content creator, an agent, or other VO talent trying to give you constructive criticism, shrug it off. In my case, with my very obviously very learned and experienced detractor, I simply toss them into the category that they belong in. Just wow. That is, just some troll with an opinion getting their anger at life out on me rather than their dog. And honestly, in that case, I'll take it. Leave the poor animal alone. Being around you is likely punishment enough. Next up, remember that there are a lot of decision makers. Thousands and thousands of them at all different levels of the VO gig hierarchy. At the beginning of your VO path, the name of the game is numbers. You will build up a thicker skin as you go on. So when it comes to both audition rejections and peer critique, just trust me when I say that you'll get used to it, and more accepting of it as time goes on. In my case, my hater wasn't in a place where they were making a business decision about me, only a personal one, so setting that one aside was easy. Next up, this is a tip I got from someone that I looked up to when I started. Voiceover coach and talent, Bill DeWees. Those who gain traction are those who keep showing up. Again, until you get to a place where you're building long-term business relationships, VO is a numbers game. You're not going to find those 2 or 3 sustaining clients unless you slog through the hundreds and hundreds of auditions it takes to find them. To use a sport ball metaphor, which is kind of odd for me, if you don't keep stepping up to the plate, digging into the box, and taking swing after swing, you're guaranteed to never get that 3-run double. And yeah, it's hard to step back in there time and time again, especially after so many strikeouts and especially after getting hit by a few beanballs, that is, harsh critiques. But you need to have the confidence to step back in there and dig your cleat in one more time. Just remember, no matter how many times you might have swung and missed, you're always just one swing away from a game-winning homer. Now, this next tip is more general and aimed mostly at other people in your life who may not be all that supportive of you and what you're trying to do. I've really found this to be true. People in your personal life who don't support you are often just jealous of you, your talents, and your courage to try. There's honestly not much you can do about them save accept how they feel and show them to the just wow green room as well. Maybe they've always wanted to try the same thing but were scared to, fearing all the rejection you're voluntarily exposing yourself to and learning to slough off. At the end of the day, remember this. You had the courage to try, while they only had the guts to hide. Man, I really wanted that to rhyme. Anyways, if you're not hurting anybody by trying, not going to lose your shirt or wind up with an unfed baby or set yourself back in life by trying, then what's the harm? Go for it. Finally, and this is really the most important piece of advice I have here. In the end, When it comes to all the detractors, naysayers, supercritical, hyper-judgmental, gatekeeping people giving you their opinion on you and voiceover, f**k 'em. That's right, f**k 'em. You're never going to be everybody's cup of tea. Not your voice, not your read, not your pursuits, not your business, your social media posts. Hell, in my case, not even my face. What can I say? I was born with RGF. Just remember that if the person in question isn't coming at you with their critique from a place of respect, with genuine intentions, and from a place where their opinion actually matters to you, your VO path, and your business, just show them to that green room with all the other mere detractors. Get back into the booth, dig a cleat in, and get ready to take another swing. There's always going to be times when it feels like everything's stupid and doesn't matter. But I promise you, learning how to get through those times is a skill that pays you back today and sets you on a path for success tomorrow. But until next time, I'm Andrew Scott, and you've been at Booth Camp. See you later, everybody. Bye-bye. Hater tears. Hater tears taste terrible.
You're dismissed.